So this is the second part of our discussion on the book of Revelation. There are four basic ways of looking at the book of Revelation. Okay, basic interpretations. First is idealism. This strips away the symbolic language of any predictive value and reduces the prophecy to a picture of the continuous struggle between good and evil, the church and paganism, and of the eventual triumph of Christianity. This approach contains a kernel of truth but arises mainly from a predisposition against genuinely predictive prophecy and from embarrassment over the extravagance of apocalyptic language. Now, on preterism, this looks at the book of Revelation from a historical point of view, meaning the events took place here reflect only not to give predictions, but rather to tell them what happened in the past. Kaya nga historical. This shares the predisposition between idealism but limits the revelation to describing the persecution of Christianity by ancient Rome and to what was expected to happen by way of the destruction of the Roman Empire and the vindication of Christians at the supposedly near return of Christ. Of course, under this view, Revelation turns out to be mistaken. Jesus did not return quickly, although it was highly anticipated during the first century. God's people cannot understand the problem of evil in history or why such fearful suffering and persecutions befall them. The solution is found in the view that God has turned this age over to the powers of evil, but is soon to intervene to destroy evil and establish his kingdom. The message of the apocalypse is addressed to their own contemporaries and in no way contains prophecies of the future, but rather seemingly prophecies of history written under the guise of prophecy. And then historicism. This interpretation, which was favored by the Reformers, sees in the revelation a prophecy of the history of the church. Specific events, nations, personages are sought in church history that fit the seals, trumpets, bowls. The most important identification in this interpretation is the identification of the beast and the false prophet with the Pope in Rome, no Roman Catholic Church, and its political and religious aspects. Example of this include the breaking of seven seals, represents the fall of the Roman Empire. The locust from the bottomless pit stand for the Islamic invaders during the time of the Crusades, and the beast represents the Pope. Of course, merong bias because of the yung religious conflicts, no, between the Catholics and the Protestants. Now on futurism, this holds that Revelation describes a coming painful and chaotic time called the tribulation, immediately followed by the return of Christ, the advent of God's kingdom, the last judgment, and the eternal state. So futurists usually calculate the tribulation or Daniel 70th week, 7 years in length, with perhaps only the latter 3.5 years intensely distressing. Also, they hold to the premillennial view that upon the return of Christ, upon his return, Christ will rule the world with the saints for 1,000 years, since sinasabing millennial reign of Christ. And crush a satanically inspired rebellion as the close of the millennium and preside at the last judgment before the eternal state begins. Uh, those who hold to this type of interpretation, futurists, hold that the first three chapters of Revelation apply either to the day in which the book was written or else that the seven churches of Asia represent 7 eras of the church history, bridging the gap from the apostolic age to the return of Christ. Pero marami nang hindi naniniwala about looking at the seven churches of Christ as like a timetable, no? Hindi nito masyadong pinapaniwalaan ngayon. Beginning with the phrase for one, the things which must come to pass hereafter, they contend that the remainder of the book deals with events that will take place in a period called the Great Tribulation. So, the Great Tribulation just preceding the return of Christ, and variously estimated from 3.5 to 7 years in length. Now, these are examples of how the 1,000 years of the millennial reign is being viewed. No po? Different views on the millennial reign. So, yun sa taas, ang tawag po dito ay pre-tribulational premillennialism. Okay, in this chart, tingnan natin sa taas nito, there is a tribulation and then the post-tribulational premillennialism. Meron tribulation. At habang nagkakaroon ng tribulation, magkakaroon ng second coming. At isa sa second coming na to, doon magaganap yung millennial reign of Christ and to end with the last judgment. Okay? Now, the second chart, ito yung dispensational, ito yung pinapaniwalaan ng maraming Christians. No? Yung pre-tribulational premillennialism. At dito sa chart na to, makikita natin that yung first bar, yung vertical bar, ay second coming ni Christ for the church. Ang tinatawag dito ay rapture. So, upon the coming of Christ, mara-rapture yung church, yung believers will be caught up into the air kasama si Jesus at magkakaroon ng tribulation in the world. Okay? So, pinapakita dito sa chart na ito na hindi na maapektuhan ng tribulation ng believers because of the rapture. And then, magaganap pa yung second coming with the church. At ito naman yung pasimula ng millennial reign sa mundong ito, no? Millennial reign kasama si Jesus at ang mga believers na magre-reign kasama niya. At yung dulo nito is the last judgment. The third, among dito sa charts na ito ay post-millennialism. Dito sa post-millennialism, no? Merong event, walang rapture, pero merong event within the church age, na kung saan dadanasin ang millennium, at pagkatapos nga nun ay ang second coming. Yung second coming ay darating huli pa. No? At dito sa chart na to ay walang rapture. Now, on the fourth is amillennialism. Dito sa amillennialism, pinapakita dito na ang millennial reign of Christ ay nagsimula nung si Christ ay nabuhay na muli at nag-ascend sa langit. So, ibig sabihin, si Jesus Christ ang nag-inaugurate ng millennial reign. Okay? At yung millennial reign na yun, nagpapatuloy until the present, hanggang sa dumating doon sa second coming. Okay? So, ang pag-aaralan natin, yung chart, dito sa chart na to, yung second, yung sinasabing pre-tribulational premillennialism, also known as dispensationalism. So, ito po, ladies and gentlemen, yung dispensationalism po. It is defined, according to John Nelson Darby, the beginning of systematized dispensationalism is usually linked with John Nelson Darby, a Plymouth Brethren minister. While at Trinity College in Dublin, Darby came to believe in a future salvation and restoration of national Israel. Based on his study of Isaiah 32, Darby concluded that Israel in a future dispensation would enjoy earthly blessings that were different from the heavenly blessings experienced by the church. He thus saw a clear distinction between Israel and the church. No? Magkahiwalay. No? Darby also came to believe in any moment rapture. Siya ang nag-describe ng term na yon, that it can happen anytime followed by the Daniel 70th week, in which Israel would once again take center stage in God's plan. mara-rapture yung church, and then yung the Jews will magpupulfill sa kanila yung time na sila ang gagamitin ng Diyos to, no, magiging instrument in order to proclaim the message of God in the world. Doon mangyayari nga po yung tribulation while the Jews were present there. According to Paul Enns, Darby advanced the scheme of dispensationalism by noting that each dispensation places man under some condition, man has some responsibility before God. Ito po yung presentation ng 7 dispensations na po described ni Darby. Nauna po, ito yung kay Adam and Eve, the first dispensation or the dispensation of innocence. No? Na time na ito, clearly it is a different scheme of dispensation, and it's hard to imagine na ang tao ay walang kasalanan pa. No? To be followed by the dispensation ni Noah, the time ni Noah. And then, the dispensation sa time ni Abraham, and then of the rule of Israel, which is the dispensation of the law, and then dispensation of grace, and then the rule of the Spirit, and then the millennial reign, yung parang 7 days, no? The millennial reign of Christ, which is the 7th dispensation. Mag-aanap, no, ito sa US. Of course, we thank God one way or another sa mga missionaries, mga American missionaries na pinadala ng Diyos na nagpunta po at nag-mission sa Pilipinas. This new teaching spread in America through prophecy conferences, such as the Niagara Bible Conferences. At yung mga persons kagaya nito ni James Brooks, pastor in St. Louis and prominent figure in the Niagara Conferences, disseminated dispensationalist ideas through his ministry and publication. So, lumaganap, no, yung understanding ng dispensation sa mga years na ito prior to the change of the change of the century. Most importantly, si Dwight L. Moody was sympathetic to the broad outlines of dispensationalism. And ang disclosures lieutenants, ibig sabihin mga partners niya na nagpatuloy ng kanyang sinimulang inituro, no, with the persons kagaya ni Ruben Torrey, ni James Gray, at saka ni C.I. Scofield or Cyrus I. Scofield. Kasama rin si William Erdman at saka si A.C. Dixon at saka si A.J. Gordon. Bagamat hindi na natin masyadong kilala itong mga names na to, ang merong malaking participation dito si C.I. Scofield, no? Cyrus I. Scofield. These men were activists, evangelists who promoted the host of Bible conferences and other missionary and evangelistic efforts. Ang pinapabalita nila that we are on the 6th day, at now we are looking close to the 7th day, which is the millennial reign. They also gave the dispensationalist movement institutional permanence by assuming leadership of the new independent Bible institutes, such as the Moody Bible Institute, the Bible Institute of Los Angeles, and the Philadelphia College of the Bible. The network of related institutes that soon sprang up became the nucleus for the spread of American dispensationalism. A few years later, pagkatapos ni Darby, ni-revise ni Scofield, ito po yung naging official, no? Ni-revise ni Scofield yung 7 days ng presentation ng dispensations, no? Yung una, yung dispensation of innocence, and pangalawa, sa time ni Adam hanggang kay Noah, dispensation of conscience, no? And then dispensation of government from Noah to Abraham, and the patriarchal rule or the rules na yung panahon ng pamumuno ni Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And then 5 yung sinasabing dispensation of the law, yung Mosaic law, at saka yung susunod yung pang-anim, dispensation of grace, also known as the church age, kinabibilangan natin. And then looking forward, to a literal earthly 1,000-year millennial kingdom that has not yet come but soon will come. Yung nilulook forward ni C.S. Copeland ng maraming mga mananampalataya. Each of these dispensations is said to represent a different way in which God deals with man, no? Specifically, a different testing format. Kaya nga siya separate dispensation. These periods are marked off in Scripture by some change in God's method of dealing with mankind in respect to two questions of sin and of the responsibility of human beings. Explained by Cyrus Coppin, sabi niya, each of the dispensations may be regarded as a new test of the natural man and each ends in judgment, marking his utter failure in every dispensation. At yung cause ng failure na yun, syempre human sin. But there will come a time, sa yung sinabi millennial reign of Christ, na kung saan ang Diyos nang will reign supreme at magiging beneficiaries dito yung mga believers nga po. Reigning with Him. So when we approach the book of Revelation from a dispensational and futuristic mold or way of looking at it, tinitingnan natin dito yung hermeneutical approach ay literal, okay? Through the use of literal interpretation, heavily debated. Many dispensationalists claim that consistent literal interpretation applied to all areas of the Bible, including Old Testament promises to Israel, is a distinguishing mark of dispensationalism. Dispensationalists usually argue that the progress of Revelation, including New Testament revelation, does not cancel Old Testament promises made with national Israel. Although there is internal debate concerning how much the church is related to the Old Testament covenants and promises, dispensationalists believe national Israel will see the literal fulfillment, okay? Kaya ganon yung paraan natin ng pagtingin ng Bible is through the literal hermeneutics. So the dispensational theologian, si Tim LaHaye, argues in favor of literal interpretation. Sabi ni Tim LaHaye, following the golden rule of interpretation, when the plain sense of Scripture makes common sense, seek no other sense. Therefore, take every word at its primary, ordinary, usual, literal meaning unless the facts of the immediate text studied in the light of related passages and axiomatic and fundamental truths clearly indicated otherwise. So the key things based from ditong literal hermeneutics na to is following the guide na nakalagay po sa Revelation 1:19. At sabi doon, the things which you have seen, the things which are, referring to the present, the things which shall be hereafter. But dagdag na paalala, when we say the things which are, the present, ito po yung present ni Apostle John, no? So yung present niya is our past, no? Past natin yon. This is the only book in the Bible where the divisions are given and they are here given by Christ Himself. Yung Revelation 1:19, yung paraan ng pagtingin ng dispensational na way of looking at the book of Revelation from this perspective. So thou hast seen the things that thou hast seen, the visions of the Son of Man in the midst of the seven lampstands. No, Revelation 1, verse 10 hanggang 20. And then the things which are, again referring to the present time ni Apostle John. The things which are the messages to the seven churches from Revelation 2:1 until 22, chapter 3. As these messages were to the seven churches that were existent in John's day, and to whom he personally wrote, the advocates of the theory that John was in the Spirit on a certain Sabbath or the Lord's Day naturally claimed that John at that time could not have been transported into the day of the Lord. But that does not necessarily follow. In Larkin's exposition, those churches were representative churches and were typical of seven well-defined periods in church history. That could not be understood until the history of the Christian church would be complete. Isa itong presentation ni Larkin, pero marami nang hindi masyadong nagsusubscribe sa ano na to. So, kaya hindi ko na isinama for tonight. Kasi, ano yun, baka mag-bring pa ng confusion sa ilan. And then the things which shall be hereafter. Gumagamit siya ng future, yung things that are to come. Now, literally after this, in other words, the things which shall come to pass after is the church period. After the church period ends. The church disappears, yun yung tinutukoy yung sinasabing rapture from view with the close of the 3rd chapter and not heard again until the 19th chapter, where her marriage to the Lamb is announced. So sa dispensational understanding, from chapter 4 hanggang 19, ay naganap na po yung rapture. Is because of the absence of the word church sa mga chapters na to. The removal of the church at the end of the 3rd chapter opens the way for God to renew his dealings with Israel and take up the broken thread of Jewish history. That the portion of the book from chapter 3 to the end of chapter 19 is largely made up of symbols taken from the Old Testament as the tabernacle, Ark of the Covenant, the altar, the censer, elders, the cherubim, seals, the trumpets, plagues, is conclusive of the church is complete, and that the last of 70th week of Daniel 70 weeks is in course of about fulfillment ng mga to. Now, what is the rapture? The main Bible verse passage in the rapture is 1 Thessalonians 4:13 to 18. Verse 17 tells us that when we are also all alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. So the phrase caught up is translation of the Greek word, which literally means to seize, or yung inagaw, yung taken away, as a robber seizes a prize. The Latin word from which we got the word rapture is raptus, meaning to seize by force. At dito sa event na to, ang umaagaw sa tao, sa mga believer, ay si Christ mismo. Thus, we have as the meaning of the rapture that one day Christ is coming to rob the world of his jewels. No? Coming to rob pala ito. Ayo nga. I got it. Dadamitan niya yung mundo. Therefore, when we refer to the rapture of the church, we mean it is a sudden snatching of the world of the believers. It should be pointed out, this is not limited to certain denominations or religious groups, but includes all those who have voluntarily invited the Lord Jesus Christ into their life. At maliwanag naman that it is not the church, kung hindi yung pananampalataya, it is the faith of the believers that causes yung kaligtasan po ng tao. Some of the guide questions that you may consider: are we aware that the worship is one of the main themes of Revelation? Yeah. And then why are Christians afraid of reading it? Kung worship is very positive and very encouraging. Second, most of you probably know that the book of Revelation is filled with images from Old Testament prophecies. What do you think? Did the Apostle John saw the same images as in the Old Testament or new images? Third, if the book of Revelation tells us about the end times before the new heavens, why does many references take us back to the book of Genesis? And then fourth, how do we see the blending themes of grace and justice in the Revelation? What should be our response?